going forward over the course of the year. So I thought I would just try something a little bit, well, like I say, just a little unique. Okay, so I want to start out by saying we'll kind of cover career, money, finances, all of that here as well. But again, it's more of a general read. If it doesn't resonate with you, you don't have to follow along on this one. I will continue to do the other reads, but I just wanted to try something different. So what I've got here coming in for the month, starting in April, going forward over the course of the year, is it's more of a kind of a layered reading, and I'm going to be touching on some of the best advice and all of that, just to kind of give you a little bit more depth as well. So I feel like you're being called to um, follow more of a get clear on your emotional direction. So it's almost like how you communicate, how you make decisions, how you use your mental capacities, that kind of thing, where you're shifting from your inner conflicts to more and getting away from more indecisive um, mindsets and move to more of a leadership, self-trust, and becoming more of an authority is what I would say is going forward for starting in April and going forward beyond that. So it feels like this is going to be more along the lines of, core energy being star. And then that's followed up by the Queen of Swords. So it's an empowerment energy here. It does also speak to, we also had the Queen of Swords come out here as well. I'm not going to pull all of them forward, but Queen of Pentacles and the King of Swords. So it really just feels like there's a sign of healing here as well. Getting closer to you. So a sense of personal alignment. So you've been doing some deep work all through, whatever the period has been for you here, but I feel like there's still more to do. But certainly with the Queen of Swords, it's asking you to be honest with yourself about your boundaries and whether or not you have, you're honoring your own self-respect. So it's also getting clear on your dreams, and it's also showing a lot of movement with the Eight of Wands coming in here as well. So this card really is kind of quick information, quick movement, quick messages, shifts that are coming in that are rather quick, and so you're having to make decisions rather quick as well, and so that's a part of that process that you need to get more aligned with, and it's being emotional. Now, I would say that your primary obstacle, and of course the tower did show up here, so the primary obstacle seems to be the tower, and now that also comes in with the Ace of Swords, because I'd already pre-pulled here, and it also comes in with the Eight of Swords, which I had below. So what I would say with that combination of cards, and again, we're trying to give you the best foot forward and advice, this is that there may be some kind of shakeup, internal or external, where, it forces you to sort of break free of an old pattern, especially mental ones with all the Eight of Swords and all of that energy here. So I would say that, your mind is creating loops, and when it's unchallenged, it becomes a cage. So the Ace of Swords is showing you that there is some kind of truth or something that you need to face. And again, possibly it's a little bit painful because it is the tower moment that's coming in here, but there is a breakthrough that's needed. And I feel like you get that. So again, it's almost like you need to practice sort of reframing things, what are you assuming, when you say I can't or I won't or I'm stuck. You have to challenge it and able to get past those things. So it builds self-trust with yourself this year, and making small, decisive actions each day helps you to make bigger decisions over the course of, the year. But it feels like the more you act in alignment and more authoritative with yourself, and the faster you're able to make these decisions, you're not held hostage by indecisiveness, certainty. So again, it's letting go of the old mindset about how you saw yourself and your identity and all those old coping mechanisms, because you need to replace them for this, going forward in April and throughout the rest of the year. So now I want to say your core growth, that's also coming in here, Two of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles. This one really speaks to, you're juggling, you're building, you're managing a lot. It feels like beneath it all, your intuition is asking you for a little bit more attention in that way. So to me, it feels like this month and then going forward, you need to balance out your responsibilities intuitively. Use more of that to look for shortcuts, not shortcuts as in, doing things in a half half, I hate to say the words, whatever, but, doing it in a halfway. You want to do something so that it's a balancing out with a more of a sense of inner knowing. So trust in yourself, like I said, because the pace for you is going to be slow with that Knight of Pentacles. So it feels like you need to do slow and steady and able to really gain some success out of what it is you're going after for this year, starting in April. Now, it does indicate that you may be overworking by keeping over busy. And when you listen to or avoid listening to, your inner self, this is where because you're too busy, you can't really pay attention to the inner self in this way. So again, you find your deeper truths when you start doing things like journaling or doing solitary things. But that's, ways to sort of access your inner voice. Now, there is something here that comes through with a level of conflict, but there is a victory conflict, 5 to 6 of Wands. So again, April onward, I feel like you're in a competitive sort of atmosphere. And again, whether this is you or someone else around you, but it puts you into a bit of a chaotic environment. And because of that, whether that's work, business, or internal dialogue, or people around you, relationships, it still shows me that you win, because you're staying in your own lane and you're, kind of following your own North Star. So it feels like you're not comparing. And so because you're not comparing yourself to others, that's to your advantage, that's your gain. So that's where you start to shine. Now, the improvement tip here would be to observe the conflict without absorbing it. So conflict is often a test of your identity, it's the ego mind. So you want to stay anchored in your truth, and then that recognition that you're seeking will just naturally follow. Now, there is something here about integrating the past because we're showing up with the Six of Cups. We also have the Queen of Pentacles. There's also the Justice, King of Swords, and the Four of Wands, but we'll pull that out here in a second. So that also tells me that there's something here about healing past patterns. So again, there's emotional patterns that are tied to your self-worth and your childhood. And again, those old partnerships, which are also coming into play that may be reenacted and of course also holding you in that pattern to some extent. The Queen of Pentacles tells me that your power is being grounded in some practical way and you are nurturing yourself. And again, this could be dealing with money in your home life, being a support center around those areas that help you to sort of heal because you're keeping yourself grounded in that and in that aspect that helps you to sort of control of your world. But again, Justice card comes out here with the King of Swords, Libra energy also, with the Four of Wands. So I would say overall, this is fairness, high level decision making, and that's kind of your superpowers this and going forward. You're growing into someone who chooses to base yourself around, more rational values and truth, not emotions or pressure. I feel like Four of Wands is really confirming that you are getting yourself into more of a stable partnership, career aspects, those kinds of things, and certainly in love. And even in terms of career, because we had that Eight of Wands there, it feels like things are going to move very quickly. And again, of course, correction. It's not a punishment, but it is something that's telling you you're about to make some huge changes in this year going forward. Now, there is also something about claiming leadership, with that we have the King and Queen of Swords. It's like you're going to stop sort of shrinking down and you're going to start taking more of there's still collaborative sort of energy here though. So I want to say that, but I still feel like, you're coming forward with more of a trust in who you are and your authentic voice, that kind of thing. So I feel like you're maintaining professional clarity and boundaries. But again, Knight of Pentacles came out here, but the wins are over sudden rushes. I don't know how to explain that, but so every time you get a win, I mean, it's a kind of a slow, steady pace, but you're getting all these little minor wins that feel like it's pushing it forward rather quickly. Now, there's something here about balancing out your resources with that Two of Pentacles energy that came out there as well. But you're heading toward more stability. So you might that energy of balancing. But the Queen of Pentacles, like I said, is still, we had a lot of queens here. We've got the kings, a lot of mature energy. But that Queen of Pentacles tells me that, you can manage and grow your money, but you have to create more of a system and possibly setting up more savings, side income, budget restructuring a little bit here as well. But the Justice card also is showing up here, and that's a Libra energy as well. So you're really coming forward with a really true sense of yourself. And again, just a lot of really good energy, very positive. Queen of Swords out here as well. sorry guys, but the Justice card, like I said, does indicate that there is going to be more of a legal or possibly an official matter, taxes, settlement, a contract, something that's being resolved fairly. So something's coming in here April onward that's going to be in your favor. Now, again, with that Tower, but again, it's even though it's a major arcana, you have so many other major arcana that kind of pull that looks like a minor arcana, because it is coming in maybe rather quickly here, but I would still say that the Tower and the Eight of Swords is still that you know, there is going to be a bit of a shakeup of some sort, which, you know, you may realize something wasn't what you thought, but you are still growing emotionally and you want depth with the High Priestess, the King of Cups energy. And so I would say that Six of Cups that was out here as well is dealing with something from the past, could be a child as well. But there's an old dynamic that's finally ready to be healed. And I would still say Four of Wands, you know, showing up here, is still indicating that there's a true connection. There's a lot of self-honesty and clarity that you're embracing, and that's really helping you to get through a lot of this. Again, King of Swords, there is definitely a lot here in terms of speaking your truth, but it's also communicating very, I don't want to say overly emotional by any stretch. This is you out with more of a, like the authentic version of yourself, because you're trusting and there's more mental clarity. There's also that long-term vision of the Knight of Pentacles. So again, hard work ethic, very intuitive, with the High Priestess energy. So there's a lot here going on that still speaks to you being, you know, over the course of the year. It just feels like you are finding more depth. You're becoming wiser. There is a sense of natural leadership here as well, and ability to stand out on your own with the Six of Wands that came through there. But, you know, as far as weaknesses, I would still say, you know, Eight of Swords, a lot of overthinking, which can point to some inaction. But again, still avoidance or emotional detachment as a coping mechanism, and still struggling to kind of release control. And that's when the Tower comes in to kind of collapse that, you know, because you're still trying to over control things, to taking on too much without delegating things with the Two of Pentacles. And I would say from April onward, like I say, it's a month of a breakthrough is where it starts in April, where you're being to grow into a wiser, your wisest self. And there's a more grounded energy here, more powerful version of yourself. And I feel like this is tangible signs of growth between April 17th to the 28th, you know, where you get this feeling of, I did it, you know, is something like that. So it's more of a celebration here with the Four of Wands by the end of April. And I just feel like, you know, power affirmations or mantras, anything like that, would be really good for you. So I would say that, you know, you're on the right track. Things are moving in a really powerful direction. And even if you were to do just like a 5-minute alignment or realignment practice, you know, something to help you to kind of ground periodically when you feel like you're out of control, it would be kind of sitting quietly, feet grounded on the ground. You know, hand over your heart sometimes can help because it's sort of symbolic. Breathing deeply for 3 breaths, and then just saying out loud in your mind something slowly and intentionally, you know, that you release your fear, you know, and you're rising into clarity, you know, something, a voice being, I trust my wisdom, you know, I walk with calm certainty toward things that are meant for me, things like that. So whatever that mantra is that you align with, just see yourself walking through a doorway, you know, of wands, where there's more success, peace, and support that's waiting. You could also do journaling prompts, you know, where did I hold myself back today? What did I accomplish? You know, where did I rise? You know, what did I act on? What was important for me today? It's things like that. So power tip for April, I would say, you know, if you wanted to use a clear quartz crystal or an amethyst, something like that, or even just looking at a white candle or blue candle burning, something like that, helping you to focus. But it's just, again, making your mantra. Some people actually use a light with a specific color that helps them to sort of ground, thinking of it in terms of something like that. But however it resonates for you, whatever you like to work with. But anyway, that's what I have. I'm going to try something different. If you like it, let me know in the comments. So that's what I have for you, Libra, for April, moving forward, strengths and weaknesses, and what you can do to kind of build on that as going forward. Keep moving forward.